Have you ever found yourself in a situation where you are earning a high income? You know that you're earning a high income, but when you look around, you have no money. You're almost always broke. Or even if you're not necessarily broke into the, that broke, but somehow you can't quite find the money. Yet you are embarrassed at the amount of money you're earning and where the money is going. You can't quite tell. You don't know. I mean, you can't. It's a matter of fact. It's like you wouldn't even want anybody to know that the amount of money that you're earning, because somehow the money is not there. Now that was me. That was my story. My name is Lucy Githaiga. I have been serving as I have been working in the NGO sector in Kenya. I have worked in the NGO sector now for about 24 years. And half of the 24 years was spent as a country director in an international organization. And obviously, my position as an international, as a country director in an international organization, I was earning a reasonable income. But I can tell you, in that 12 years of me working in that international organization, to be honest, I honestly can't quite say exactly what happened in about 8 years. And in fact, I would probably say that when I look back to my whole career journey, my whole journey in employment for about 24 years, I would probably say that I can account for my money. I can actually account for about maybe the first 5 years, yes, and then another maybe 4 years. So basically, more than half of my time in employment, I honestly don't know. I can't quite tell where the money went, and I keep saying that there's a word that I use. I call it the kipepeo dance, where you're just dancing around. You're like a kite. You're just like a butterfly, just dancing around your money, and you can't quite really tell. And that's the tragedy of many people. And I am speaking to women in employment, especially, and women who are earning a high income, because I know what that can be, because I have lived that life. And for me, what happened is that I ended up just doing that kipepeo dance, doing that butterfly dance with money, until it hit me on the occasion of my 47th birthday that, my goodness, I had no savings. I had no investments that I could actually touch and say, okay, this is what I have done. And therefore, even if I lost a job at that point, this is how I would live life. I would not have been able to support my lifestyle at that point if I had lost my job on my 47th birthday, which is basically 3 years ago, because I'm celebrating my 50th birthday in this coming month in September. And so I basically found myself in a space where really money was coming in, and reasonable amount of money was coming into my hands, but money was just going out. It's like I had dug holes all over the place. And I know this is not unique to me. I know there are very many women out there who have dug different holes, and their money is just sort of just getting swallowed in those holes. And it is those women that I want to speak to, so that we can begin to have a conversation about how are we stewarding our money? How are we taking care of our money? And as a result of my journey, on that 47th birthday, as a result of that journey, I looked back and I said, you know what? I know there are so many people who are going through the same situation. There are many people who are, making financial mistakes, probably because they do not know, probably because they don't have the knowledge of how to, work with money or manage money or even multiply money, or do, just generally how to work with money. And I made a decision on that at that time that I was going to actually, help people. I actually wrote a book, and my book is called The Unbeatable Spirit. And the reason I wrote that book is because at the point when I was writing that book, I had come from a very dark season. I had come from a very dark season. If you look at my channel, and I welcome you you to join my channel. I welcome you to subscribe to this channel, because I will be talking a lot of things about women and money. And if you look at the very first video, I had talked about a forex scam that I was involved in. I was involved in a forex scam that almost took me to prison. It damaged my reputation. I was in a difficult space, even though for a fact it was just a business that went wrong. It was just that I found myself in the hands of a scammer. I have told that story in my book, and so I just felt that it is very important for me to actually come out. Of course, I was able to actually just come out and tell my story and talk about everything that happened from point A to Z. I wrote about it. I spoke about it. I recorded videos. I spoke about that story. But I was able to actually overcome. But at the point when I was overcoming, I felt very strongly that I needed to actually help others so that they do not make similar mistakes, or so that at least they can begin to see how best do they steward their money, how best do they come out and say, you know what, I need help and I need to be able to steward my money in a different way. Because guess what? When we go to school, we learn so many things. When I was in the university, because I studied anthropology in the University of Nairobi, I remember I used to ask our lecturer, why are we learning about Polynesia and Melanesia and I don't know which Nesia and which Nesia and which Nesia? Because clearly there are so many things that we go to learn in school, many of which, by the way, to be honest, probably a lot of that knowledge, we end up not using that knowledge. But the most important knowledge that we are supposed to be taught, especially the thing to do with how do we steward our money, how do we become good stewards of money, financial literacy, that is completely missing from our education system, which is very funny. Because really, why would we be taught? In the education system, you're almost taught, okay, study so that you can get a good job. But even when you get that good job, assuming you get a good job and assuming that is really the end, how do you then manage the resources that you're getting out of the work that you do? Whether you're doing work whether your work is a business, or whether your work is you're earning an income out of employment, whichever path that you find yourself in, how do you manage that money? And I found myself really, sort of just grinding and creating different holes. And I know we'll be talking about all those holes as we continue. But I want to welcome you. And this is every Friday we shall be having a conversation about money, because I love to speak about money, because having come out of that situation where really from a situation on my 47th birthday where I didn't have not a single shilling saved or invested anywhere, zero, as in zero. And I made a resolve to just do things differently with money. Of course, I had to go into coaching, and I also studied coaching. So I am a personal financial wellness coach. I speak about money. I write about money. And this is the conversation that I really want to have with women, because I believe that if we can obviously support ourselves and we can get out and be able to actually just be better stewards of the money that we are making, then we become better people. I am known for the 4 M's of money. We talk about make money, manage money, multiply money, and mesh money. But today, I wanted to just say that the reason why we find ourselves earning a high income and we have no money is because of all the many financial mistakes that we find ourselves engaged in. And today I will just talk about one financial mistake. And one of the financial mistakes is what I call doing nothing or very little on money. So that, for instance, if I was to ask you, and I am talking to the people who are in employment, to women who are in employment, and I am asking, and if you're, especially for you who is earning a high income, if you were to just go back and ask yourself, how much money have you earned since you got employed? Are you able to actually point out and say, okay, this is what I have been able to do, this is what I have been able to do? If you're to bring out the scales, as in the scales, like you go to a butchery or to a shop and you're told, this is the amount of sugar you have bought, this is worth 1 kilogram, or this is worth 2 kilograms. If you're to place your money on one end of the scale and everything else that you have done with the money on the other end of the scale, what would that scale look like? So a lot of us are actually earning a high income, but we are basically, when we look back, we cannot see where the money is going. We are basically doing nothing or doing very little about the with the money that we are earning. That's the one mistake: doing nothing or very little. Financial mistake, and I know many people are in that bus. And I want to say that if you find yourself in that bus, it is important that you just stand back and say, you know what, I want to repent. I want to repent of my money sins and be able to just say, you know what, I want to be able to become a better steward of money. And I invite you to be able to work to journey with me in this channel. Please subscribe, because we shall be having great conversations on women and money in this channel. I would say that I by the way, I left employment on 31st of July. 31st July 2023 was my last day at work, and on 1st August I decided, you know what, I am here. I want to shout at the rooftop so that women in Africa can be able to actually just find a way of becoming better stewards of the resources that we have. Because remember, the resources that we have been given, this amount of money that we have been given, we need to manage it, right? We need to multiply it. We need to measure it, because at the end of the day, we are not just living for today. There is today, and then there is tomorrow. Let's connect here every Friday, and let's keep growing. Let's keep advancing in our conversations about money. So today, just to recap, we have spoken about the one mistake that we are making, the one financial mistake, and we'll be covering many more mistakes every time I have a video for this series of financial mistakes. The one mistake is doing nothing or very little. Remember, if you take nothing out of this video, just remember that if you are to go somewhere and put yourself in some silent place and bring out your scale and sort of just do your calculations of the amount of money that you have earned since you got into employment and what you have done with that money, you will most likely find that if you are in this category of people who are doing nothing or doing very little, you will actually just shake your head. And I can tell you, you're not alone. I want to tell you, you're not alone, because I was there. I was in that spot on the occasion of my 47th birthday. I sat on a blue seat like the one I am sitting on today. I sat on a blue seat, and I sat on that blue seat from about 10:30 p.m. and I woke up from that seat at 7 a.m. just wondering what exactly happened. Now, wondering is not the biggest, making mistakes is not the biggest of problems. The issue is repeating mistakes and hearing Lucy speak and hearing all these conversations that are happening around money and doing nothing about it. So I hope that we shall continue to learn together. I invite you to join with to stay with me on this channel, and we shall continue to have great conversations, great content, and I can't wait to see you next Friday. Now, next Friday, we are going to talk about the next mistake, because we'll be covering, several mistakes, so that you can see, you can begin to ask yourself, am I in that particular mistake? Am I there? For me, for a number of years, by the way, actually, from the age of 32 to the age of 47, which is about, how many years are those? My goodness. Is that 15 years? I basically did nothing. I was just floating. So there is this thing I call the kipepeo dance. The kipepeo dance is like a butterfly dance. You're just dancing like a butterfly, hopping like a butterfly, I really don't want you to continue hopping and dancing that kipepeo dance. I welcome you to be able to actually journey with me, so that we can see what is this conversation about money. And till next Friday, see you and stay tuned. Thank you.